G'day YouTube. If you are getting started or don't really care about preparedness, but you do want to have something for your family, what I'm going to go through now is a long-term solution to kind of get you started and started thinking about the process and what you can do. So, based on my life experience, I'd say most amount of disasters that you have or problems that you have, you'll be able to just stay at home. And you have a lot of resources at home, but you might not have reliability in those resources to get you through an emergency. Some perfect examples recently is in Melbourne, there was a big storm that went through, and there was both no power for areas and areas where the drinking water was contaminated by septic systems and things, so they could no longer drink town water. So that sort of stuff happens quite a lot throughout your life, and what I've kind of done with this entry-level first-person kit is to have a couple of $100 that you would spend, long shelf lives, but have enough flexibility that you could put it in a bag and go somewhere else and survive with it. As I repack this tub with things, I'll kind of do it in the priority or in order, just so I can explain what's going on. And to start with, let's go for the most important thing. This is a Grail water purifier. Yes, you can buy cheaper stuff that do water filtration, but you need to be able to filter out viruses. So if you buy a water filter for like $30, that's okay. That'll get a lot of stuff out of it, but it won't kill viruses, which means before you drink it, you need to have a rolling boil for several minutes, and that's very energy intensive, and you might not have that in an emergency. $100 Australian to get a Grail water filter like this. This is the ultralight small version, the cheaper one. But it's small, it's light, fits in the tub perfectly, and means that you can have drinkable water fastly, easily. Put it from your tank water. You know, if you've got water tanks or your neighbour's got water tanks, or you've got a creek and you don't know what's going on, you can fill it up and put it in. So the first thing I would put into my emergency tub is the groundwater filter. So the next thing is actually this tub. So this is a tub of freeze-dried food. From memory, it was $150 plus. So not exactly cheap, but everything has a 5-year shelf life. And the food in it is actually real food and tastes good. Not as good as a home-cooked meal with fresh ingredients, but there's a lot of other ones out there that taste like junk or are mostly full of sugars to get your emergency calories up. This one was mainly designed for hikers. This is a backcountry one that's available from Australia. And this is a 2-person, 3-day kit with breakfast, lunches and dinners and separate things. And there's a couple of desserts I think in there as well. But that's again a 5-year shelf life. The way that you prepare these. So this is a creamy carbonara. So what you do is in an emergency, if you needed to eat these, you rip off the top, open it, fill it with boiling water, depending on how much it says on the back, stir it up, which is why I have these big long nose spoons, because you need to get it down and in there. Right, and then you stir it up, seal it up again, wait 10 to 15 minutes, and then it's soaked through and cooked. So that's how you do with the freeze-dried meal. But a lot of those freeze-dried meals don't have a lot of food in them, and if you're doing a lot of extra manual labor, or you need to make them stretch, because instead of it being a 2-person 3 days, you need it to be a 2-person 1 week kit, you need to fill it out, which is what most of this other stuff is for. It is for filling this out to make it last a lot longer. So one of the free things that you can do is go through your pantry and pretend that you're going to be rationing it, Go through and look at what food you have, what food you don't have, what food you have extras of. If you needed to stay inside for 2 weeks because you had a Texas-style snowstorm and you couldn't get out to the shops, or there was no fuel or something similar, what would you do for those 2 weeks? Could you make your home supplies last that long? And based on that, you'll know what extra things you need to buy extra of, or what things that your partner won't eat that you have too much of, for example. So, and what things have you not tried before? You know, I've eaten some of these meals, so we know what it tastes like, and we know that they're not bad. So, what I'm going to go through next up is, because you need to boil water, you kind of need to have a bit of a fire kit. You don't know if the power will be out and you can't cook, or you don't get gas deliveries, or your gas lines have leaked, or something similar. So having a way to cook is good. So what I've got here is an old army style kidney cup. It fits nicely in this kit, but you could use obviously a round one. Inside of this I have a little scourer for cleanup, a set of matches and a fireproof matches and a whistle and a little compass, just because it's cheap and it's a nice easy thing to get off Amazon. And I have a fuel stove. Now I like putting fuel stoves in the kit. Don't use them inside, whatever you do, they're poisonous. But the fuel stoves, they have really long shelf lives. And if you're cooking them outdoors, what you do is you light it with once and then you feed it with small bits of wood to keep it going, rather than go through all your stoves. And that way you build up a nice little kit, a nice little fire. So let's put that in the bucket. I think the whole world knows why I put toilet paper in this kit. It's important. And if there's an emergency and you're running low on toilet paper, having an extra roll could be a godsend until you figure out what the hell you're going to do. And people just like buying toilet paper in emergencies. Alright, so next up I've got some of the filler items. In this case I've got canned hot dogs, Spam, canned tuna, chicken, salmon, and I think there's turkey too. So all of these just go straight in the box. I've also included some dried biscuits. Again, these have a pretty long shelf life. They will last in the box and go there. To fill up some of the gaps, I have some muesli bars and things. You could do whatever you want in there. These will expire before a lot of the other stuff, but to be honest, I'll just fill a lot of gaps. Alright. Because I have cordage, I'm including some cordage in there. You never know. If you have HelloFresh or something similar, you'll usually have a bunch of these little packets left around. For example, leftover garlic seasoning and spices and peppercorns. Again, long lifetimes. Don't really go off. Fits nicely in the bucket. To supplement the matches, I have a long nose a lighter. So again, this will just slide down the side of the case there. I like these above normal Bic lighters because they have their own inbuilt safety and a way to turn them up and down. But they also have a clicker. So if you light it, if it's out of gas and you need to light tinder, you can just click, 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 and off you go without using any matches. Right. Again, for this food, so I've got a couple of long handle spoons to put in there. To another free thing, or mostly free thing to put in there, all of my kits I now include a little bag which has radio information, maps, you know, where to go, photos of my family members, all this stuff you can build up for free. Know who your locals are, know what's going on, you know that, for example, that Carl down at number 57 is a ham radio operator, right? You can spot these people. If you go for a walk around your neighborhood, you'll see who's got a ham radio antenna. And there are people that you want to get to know, say hello, right? Knowing who to talk to or who could possibly help you out in an emergency is good. Maybe you'll make a friend and they can help you out with your own preparedness. Also, have some money in your kit. If your identity gets stolen and other things that happen day to day, you get locked out of your bank account, you need $300 so that you can go buy some groceries and things, or you need to take this box and go stay with a friend because your house has been threatened by bushfires. You know, who knows what's happened to your wallet? Maybe it got lost, maybe it fell out of your pocket. having some cash, having a way to go to someone, hey friend, I need to stay at your house for a day. I've brought my own food. Please let me stay here in your shelter, right? So this just sits on top, put the lid back on it. Most of the time you will be plugging in at home, but if you're going to have a box like this, you would also keep it inside of a backpack. So if you ever do need to leave the house in a hurry, you could grab this kit and go stay at your cousin's, you know, and that way you've got a place using someone else's shelter, but you're not going to be impeding on them by having, you know, you've got your own toilet paper and food. So you can at least get your family started off again. And you'll be surprised how much extra stuff you have lying around that you don't use or don't want to use. As an example, an old blanket that would be sitting in the back of your linen cupboard that's itchy, which is why no one wants to use it, but you don't want to throw it away because obviously you paid for it a while ago. This is the type of thing you'll put in your emergency bag. Beggars can't be choosers, and you're still not throwing it away, you're putting it in a kit, and that way obviously everything goes together. I haven't Tetrised that all down, which is why it's not fitting, but it's a good example. You can see that everything fits there, apart from the blanket, which you would use to wrap up the box or carry it or whatever you needed to do if you need to get around, or put it inside the bag. And this is kind of a good start to preparedness. If you don't like the idea of doing freeze-dried meals in a pre-to-one kit, you know, you're paying for someone else's experience in building out meal plans, you can go through your own pantry and figure out what you want to buy, and whenever you go shopping, instead of buying 2 cans of tuna, buy 5 cans of tuna and put 3 in an emergency box. That way you can kind of build up your supplies over time in small couple of dollar hits. The only thing that I would 100% recommend you buy first is that Grail water purifier or another water purifier. Don't just get a filter, get something that'll clean out viruses without needing to have a running boil going on. That's about it for that. So here is a emergency kit. I'm planning on building out a few of these, and I'm going to distribute them around the place as funds allow. Might take me a couple of years to build out enough of these kits for my get home scenario, but this is basically the start of it. If I was going to add something else to it, I would add in one of my emergency ponchos. So the ones that have the reflection on the inside, so they're in my other kits and I forgot to grab one out. But you know, a pair or 4 of those could probably fit in here if you Tetrised it in good enough. But that's a good start. Just a little addendum here to the emergency bucket video. So this is obviously the very start of a bigger system or a bigger kit that you could go. So the next stage after that, I would be looking at doing something like a EMP type bucket. My wife has driven away with my EMP bag, so I can't use it as an example. But that EMP bag is about the same price as this entire garbage bin. So what you would do is, I'd recommend people make a bucket like this, put it inside your emergency bin, and that way you can start to incorporate a lot of the extra things in there. I forgot to include a torch in there. Obviously, this is a good thing about doing reviews, is that you can realize what your own self-assessments are missing. So a torch would go live in there. I've also ordered a couple of things off eBay. It's a little 18650 to USB adapter. So then that way you can use an 18650 as a power bank without packing the rest of a power bank. So I'd probably include a torch and an 18650 in there. And this is the example of the poncho that I was talking about, the prepared, ready for anything emergency poncho. I'll probably include in there as well. In the greater EMP bin, it then gives you a bunch of different options. For example, with whatever leftover room, you can include a drone or a bunch of radios, like, you know, Baofeng radios, and big, I'm overcompensating for something, antennas. A little bit of preparedness off eBay. You can buy some Baofeng radio to radio adapter kits, so that way that you can make your own repeater stations. Inside the tub, you could also include some solar escape bivvies. There's a lot of different escape bivvy options out there. Based on the research I've done, the solar escape bivvy is the only winner. It does moisture wicking, which none of the other ones do. So this is, a pretty good sleeping bag addendum or add-on. I can include, a portable radio or a solar charger or whatever. Fill up the rest of the gaps. You can buy yourself off Amazon a really cheap Wooby now. So I bought this one for my wife. And basically, as Woobies go, so it's a poncho, goes underneath a poncho to keep you warm, but it also has zips down the side for so you can turn it into a sleeping bag. And in the case of this particular one, there isn't a zip at the bottom, but you have a way to cinch it down. They're not the best made things. You can unfold them and use them like a blanket if you needed to. So you can pack this up within. I will be doing a video soon comparing this $80 Amazon one to a significantly more expensive Swagman roll. But to be honest, for something that's pretty cheap and easy and versatile, it's a sleeping bag. If you're sleeping on someone's couch, it'll do it. And they do cinch down quite small. You could probably arrange to fit all of this inside of an EMP bucket that you could keep in your shed. The idea is that if your house burnt down, you would have something. If your house burnt down, you could go grab this from your shed. You've got something to sleep in, something to sleep with. You've got ponchos so that you can sleep under it if you really were desperate. But if your house is burnt down and you can stay at someone else's house, that's pretty much going to be your objective. Anyway, minor addendum here. Thank you for watching. Again,